Awesome. Very cool. Well, thanks so much for taking the time. Calvin, I know a lot of athletes and celebrities, it seems everyone, the new trend for them is getting into cannabis, whether it's their own strains, their own companies, all that. And, you guys founded Primitiv, but there's much more than that, right? You're not just capitalizing on the next big trend. So kind of talk about why it's so important to advance, public health discussion around cannabis.
No doubt about it. It's crucial to be an advocate in this space, and it's hard to do it while we were playing ball. Because we were advocates then, but there's rules and regulations that you got to abide by. But now that we're entrepreneurs of the sense, and we can go out and start our own business. This was definitely a passion of ours because not only did we use cannabis, but we saw it for what it was as medicine. And a natural way of healing other than what was proposed. And something that we saw at the time when we were playing was the ability just to go get whatever you want when it comes to medication, and just sticking your hand in a candy jar and get it, and you saw dependence from some of your teammates and that stuff. And that's one thing that we didn't want to be, where I didn't want to be. Have family members, extended friends that you've seen in these situations, and you see the dependence that they have when they're using these medicines, and you're like, okay, how do I heal naturally? I'm trying to put natural things in my body, keep synthetic things out, which contain toxins. And, that's just been the approach. And so that's why Primitiv, has a, authentic beginning, and the reason why we're in this cannabis space.
That's awesome. And I know the NFL has kind of loosened its policies a little bit, but it hasn't just said, hey guys, do whatever you want with cannabis and that kind of stuff. And there's so much debate over the benefits and the stigma and just everything like that. So just, I've read other stories, you said you've used it, you were introduced recreationally at Georgia Tech, and then you started using it after playing and just from all the knocks and bruises and stuff like that. So, where do you see cannabis fitting in the sports industry for both, active athletes as well as retired athletes, just knowing, like you said, they're becoming so dependent on, all these opioids and other things?
Yeah, it's coming. There's a place in sports and just everyday life for people that deal with pain, and the source being inflammation. We've seen there's research out there that's shown that cannabis, CBD, CBG, those things have been able to target inflammation and reduce it. That's why it's so crucial that we're able to, get funding, that's even federal funding and there is some federal funding out there, but there's a lack of it because it's being Schedule 1. But it's crucial that we're able to get this kind of funding and do the research so that we can create these products, these innovative products. And that's what we're all about at Primitiv. Just like I say, highlighting those healing powers of the plant, being innovative in the industry, so that you can bring in new customers, and some of those new customers being the big leagues. Get them to understand, that there's a better way to heal, a more natural, holistic way.
You mentioned highlighting, and I think that's a good segue into the relationship you guys have with Fohse here. So, I'll ask you first, Calvin, and then Brett, you can jump in. Just, talk about this relationship and how important it is for, for both companies and why it makes a lot of sense.
This is great. Honestly, if you try to equate it to what we did on the football field, it's almost like a endorsement deal, sort of say in the cannabis space. It's very cool because we're able to partner up with Fohse, and what they're doing in the lighting space with LEDs is awesome. They remember when we first started with them, we knew it was going to be great because we're going to see gains from the energy savings that we're going to get, but we weren't so sure, how much these lights were going to put out, what was going to be their output as far as when it comes to the plant. And from talking to some of the guys, that have already worked with Fohse, and they're like, yeah, we're getting, somewhere anywhere between 5 or 7 pounds of light. And we're like, that's absurd. We're used to getting, maybe around 3 pounds of light with our HPSs. And they're absolutely right. In our first harvest, I think we did somewhere close to 6 pounds of light with the new lights. I think we might have had the A3Is. I might have got that wrong a little bit, but I know we're outfitting the rest of the facility with the Scorpios. And the great other two great things about these lights is that you can set different times of the season. The spring, the summer, the autumn. They could play a little bit with the lights, as well as the energy savings that we were able to see when we experimented with just one room. We put several different lights up to the test to really see which one's going to be best, kind of like we do with everything else when we're trying to maybe find a new contractor or whatnot. But we had 3 different companies that were looking up, and Fohse, they rose to the top. And we see why, because we've had the experience within the last however many months, really all this year basically, and it's been great. It's been great, like I said, in the savings and in the quality of the plant.
Awesome. And Brett, anything to piggyback off that, why it makes so much sense for you guys to work with Calvin and Primitiv, and just to like, Calvin and Rob are athletes, former athletes, really advocating for cannabis education and policy and all that. So just how important is it to, hitching your wagon to these guys?
Yeah, I think what was most exciting is his outlook on the plant, right? As medicine. I mean, we're in grows all over the world, and the ones that we're most excited to go work with are the guys that really appreciate the plant on a level that he is, right? He has a big voice, and he's doing it for the right reasons, and it just seemed like we were just really aligned, and really our mission and our vision and the values of why we're doing what we're doing. And it was just, as soon as we got to know what was going on there, it was just a no-brainer. We wanted to be a part of it 100%, and we're just really excited to be a partner, and somebody that he could, if he has questions, whether it be Hort services or whatever it is, we want to be there for him, and really be able to help in any way, shape, or form.
Going back to kind of what we were talking about earlier, guys, about the destigmatization of cannabis, and everyone thinks of, Jeff Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and it's just smoke, eat pizza, not do anything. But people are proving that you can do anything, and Fortune 500, CEOs are coming out and saying, yeah, I do it before big meetings and all that kind of stuff like that. So how important is that education and breaking down that kind of almost naivety about cannabis when it comes to helping enact better policies and accessibility and all those things that we've talked about?
From what I've seen, I'll go back to the city council meetings that we go to when you're maybe trying to, get cannabis approved in a certain locale. And you go into these meetings and you have half of the room that's just, dead set against cannabis. And then you have the other half of the room, obviously pro cannabis, but you got a couple people in there. You might have parents of a kid that has 30 seizures a day, but they have this cannabis product that they're using, and now their kid has 1 seizure, if any. Or you have a cancer patient that comes in that's in remission because they didn't have any other options with the doctor, and the doctor said, hey, you might want to try cannabis. And they tried cannabis, and now they're in remission. I mean, these are real life stories that they're not coming from me. These are coming from people that deal with these real life issues. We all deal with real life issues, but those are the things that kind of like give this purpose, everything that we're doing.
I'm sure it helps the people who are maybe anti or kind of on the fence to hear those other stories from other people, and knowing like, oh, okay, so it isn't just smoke and stick my hand in a bag of Doritos. Like there's actually benefits to this, and maybe I'll start reading about it and researching it a little bit more. I guess it's kind of opening up people's eyes, right?
You made a good point earlier. Like we did a CBS special, and after it was over, it cut back to it was Nate Burleson and his crew on the morning show. And one of the guys, I forget his name, he said, I just started using cannabis because I have Tourette's and I didn't have any other options. It's just stuff like that. You hear live action, just like that's powerful. You're talking about ways to recover. Cannabis. I mean, yeah, I use cannabis. It's great for recovery. I know people. You're talking about the guy that went into that's going into meetings and he says that he uses it. It's great for anxiety. If you got to maybe talk in front of people, there's different. It's not all. I'm not gonna say every cannabis strain is great for anxiety, but you got to find what cannabinoids, what terpenes, what compounds work. And this where this industry is going, we're going to be able to have almost like a personalized medicine, because of these compounds do different things. We could be able to break these things down and bring them back together. We could target exactly what we want to fix.
Yeah, to that point, Calvin, that's what having a big name like yourself and coming into this and bringing light on those cannabinoids, it's going to spur more interest and understanding those, and really doing some studies and finding out which cannabinoids do what, right? Is it inflammation? Is it Is it anxiety? Is it hunger for cancer? There's so many things that, it's kind of a guess and check thing right now, as far as what it is, but as far as what cannabinoids are doing what. But I think it's going to be really exciting. The more people that come on board that want to talk about the medicine side of things, and the medicinal way of that this plant can handle certain ailments, the more people will do studies and the more we'll learn. And that's what's really also really exciting. I mean, that's we just need more people talking about the medicinal side of things.
Yeah, and it seems too that it isn't a one size fits all, right? That like it's going to affect me different than it's going to affect you or affect everybody else. And it's like however you can kind of harness that power. Maybe it doesn't work for you. Maybe it makes the situation worse, but at least like you tried. And I think that's the biggest thing is just like giving people the option to have the chance to try something if maybe everything else hasn't worked. Like Calvin, we're talking about, the child that had seizures and oh, it's down from 30 to 1. Like who wouldn't want to eliminate that many seizures a day, right? If it's something as simple as, taking an edible or something along those lines. So I definitely understand that. And kind of piggybacking off of that, I've read different things and there's been different interviews given by former and current NFL players saying like, hey, anywhere between 50 and 90% of players in the league are using cannabis or using marijuana for a number of different reasons. Like, during your time, obviously I'm sure you talk to many of the guys, who are still playing now, but would you say that's right? Is it more? Are these numbers getting higher? Like I've seen, an article in the New York Times saying that, young adults are using marijuana and psychedelics even more and more. So is this just kind of like the tip of the iceberg and it's only going to grow from here?
Yeah, I mean, you just look nationwide at the trend, you can see more and more users coming online. So I'd imagine the same is going on with the NFL. When I was there, I would say at least, I would say that number 50 to 90% that you threw out there is very wide, but at least that in that range, at least that many people have at least tried or are currently using cannabis 100%. And it's probably more like 75 to 90%. And then, yeah, it's that relevant in all the leagues. And baseball, I don't think baseball tests for it. I don't think basketball tests for it anymore. Like you mentioned earlier, with the last collective bargaining agreement last year, the NFL lightened their stance on it. So I imagine in the next 10 years, when the next collective bargaining agreement comes around, that they might get rid of that whole stance altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Fingers crossed, right?
Not
And
my problem anymore.
yeah, right. And kind of finally, like you're known to so many people, Pro Football Hall of Famer or Megatron, just everything you've accomplished on the field. And again, reading another piece, you were just talking about how important and how proud you are of what you're doing off the field now, with this research and this advocacy around cannabis. So just, how important is that to you and your legacy? Like you did so much in your first act as a football player, and now you have so much more of your life, left off the field. So just talk about that importance and the mission you're trying to accomplish here.
Yeah, it's funny, man, because my mom she showed me something from a kid when I wrote, and it's like something that is like in fourth or fifth grade. The teacher had us like write about what we were going to do in our lives, and I said something about helping the masses, being able to help everybody, and being able to. And what we're doing with Primitiv right now is we're trying to create innovative ways for people to apply the medicine, creative applications. And by doing so, we're able to attract new users because we're creating, maybe new new ways to deliver the medicine, or just actually new ways to consume the medicine. And being able to do that, we were able to bring on new users and attract more people to cannabis, and not attract them more so for the recreational part of it, but more so for the quality of life of it. I feel like whether you're consuming recreationally or medicinally, but more so recreationally, you're still going for cannabis for a medicinal effect. So I think that with our mission and just staying true to what we are, who we are, and trying to create those innovative products, and that's what we're doing. Primitiv Performance. We're bringing, not that it hasn't been done, but we're bringing nanotechnology to cannabis. More so taking a pharmaceutical route and just trying to be more efficient, create more bioavailability, so that the product does what it's supposed to do faster for you at the end of the day.
Awesome. Very cool. It sounds like a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline from you. So looking forward to all that. That was all I had in terms of questions. Anything else, guys, on the industry, on the companies, on the partnership, maybe that we didn't discuss that you wanted to mention?
I mean, I'm John. It's exciting to be a part of the partnership with these guys because they create a great product. You know, it's very exciting that and it's very cool. They got a cool name, Fohse. I'm like, what the heck is Fohse? When we first met these guys, and then realized it's an acronym. You know, future of horticultural science and engineering. So it's great. I love the alignment. You know, that's what make that's why we do, if we do anything with anybody, it's because we're evenly yoked, to sort of say. So love where we are, love the people on this team, on their team. You know, it's been, you know, great just getting to know them over the process of creating this partnership and having part of their team out to our facility. So I look forward to the future and all the things that we're going to be doing over the course of the next couple of years.
Awesome. Brad, anything else?
Yeah, no, I totally just want to reiterate, I guess, what he was saying too. I mean, very, very excited to work with him, and very excited to hear, you know, the voice get bigger and bigger, and you know, hopefully it bleeds down into the MMA world as well, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys getting banged up there, and I think that there's a lot of similarities and in what he's saying with the NFL and in the MMA world, right? There's a lot of painkillers getting prescribed, and you know, it's that's kind of a dear sport to me, you know, as that's where my background is, and so I think that it's just like I just am really excited about this and really excited to be a part of it.